When you're born and raised in Calgary like I am, there are some things that just seem normal and part of everyday life. But if you talk to someone from out of province or out of country, there are definitely some things about Calgary that are very unique. My name is Ryan Gillard at Real Broker, your Calgary Realtor, and I help people from all over Calgary, Canada, and out of country buy and sell homes right here in Calgary. In this video, I'll go over some of the special and unique things about living in Calgary and the Calgary real estate market. Let's go. And let's get into it here and bullet point. So point number one is our Western heritage, highlighted by the Calgary Stampede, which is a major part of our identity. It's basically like a rodeo and an exhibition, but more importantly, it's a giant 2-week party. And honestly, it can be a bit of a bender and a good time. And point number two is our diverse population. So definitely the Calgary Stampede is part of our psyche and our makeup of Calgary. It's definitely a Western city, but you'd be mistaken to think that's all it is. Calgary's growing rapidly, and we get people from all over Canada and the world coming into Calgary. So our population is very diverse, and you can see it in all of our different festivals that we have and our growing culinary scene. Calgary is definitely one of the more multicultural centers that you can find in Canada. And the next point here, let's talk about the economy. Now, some cities in Canada are government towns, some are port towns, some are university towns. Calgary is definitely pro and heavily reliant on the oil and gas sector. It affects every part of our economy, from real estate prices to just the overall state of the economy. And it does bring economic prosperity, a corporate culture, and it leads to lots of high-paying jobs, diverse white-collar type jobs, I would say. And that's another reason why I have such a diverse population, is that we can't fill all of the roles simply by hiring Albertans. We need to bring in lots of people into this province to fill these job positions. And one last point about the economy is I've traveled all across Canada, and there are some locations, no names, but some are just very down and out. It's like a dead end. They're very depressing places, not much going on. But I would say Calgary is a very optimistic place. Things are always improving. Things are always getting better here. And it's just a very forward-looking province. And Calgary's at the center of that. It's just a very up-and-coming and diverse city. And it's going to get better and better going forward. And point number four is sunshine. Now, you'll definitely notice this if you're coming from like a maritime location which can be a bit cloudy and rainy. Calgary is definitely one of the sunniest cities in all of Canada. I would imagine there's probably about 300 days of sunshine per year, so definitely bring your sunglasses. The next point here is Chinooks. These are definitely a phenomenon in this part of the world. This is, we've got moisture coming from the Pacific Ocean, hits the British Columbia side of the border, which is very mountainous. The hot air rises and it rains on the BC side of the mountains, and what's left over is the dry air coming into Alberta. And this can legit warm the temperature from, say, -30 to +10 in a matter of hours. And this definitely happens every single winter, multiple times. And it's kind of like a Calgary phenomenon. And this happens multiple times every single winter. And the next point here is how unpredictable our weather is. Now, I find this probably the most fascinating thing about Calgary. And if you just go back 2 videos from now, it was May 1st here in Calgary. And I did a video and it was snowing, actually. Since then, it is May 19th now. We've had snowstorms, we've had rainstorms, crazy windstorms. We've had days where it's close to +30 Celsius, all within a few weeks. That's how erratic the weather is in Calgary. It's just all over the map. And point number 7 is hail and tornadoes. Now, the tornadoes are more common just outside of the Calgary city limits, probably closer to like Airdrie to Red Deer area. Seem to get lots of that stuff. Maybe it's because Calgary's a bit closer to the mountains, is my guess. But they definitely can happen in the Calgary area. And hail is definitely very common. And it can damage landscaping, siding, windows, the roofs. I've had properties shredded by hail in the past. I've had car hail damage. And it's definitely not to be taken lightly. It's very annoying, and it happens all the time in our summers, which are quite stormy here. And point number 8 is how scenic Calgary really is. Within a short car ride, you can see prairies, badlands, foothills, and mountains. I think a lot of newcomers will be amazed when they see how scenic Calgary truly is. And point number 9 is that newcomers might be a bit surprised by some of the architectural aspects of our properties here to help withstand the cold temperatures. And the first point here is we have proper insulation in walls, floors, and attics to help retain heat. We've got energy efficient windows, double or triple pane to reduce heat loss. Can be quite expensive. In terms of heating, we've got high efficiency furnaces, natural gas furnaces, programmable thermostats, in-floor heat in basements and in bathrooms, geothermal heat. And I recently met a couple from Vancouver, and they didn't know what a engine block heater is, which I found a bit fascinating being in Canada. So it gets so cold here that our cars have a little plug-in that comes out of the hood, and you connect that with an extension cord, and that plugs into an electrical outlet, which many stalls have. And this keeps the block heater warm enough when it gets down to like -30, so that your car still starts in the really cold weather. We've also got heated garages and even heated driveways. And lastly, we've got proper roofing and attic ventilation to help prevent condensation and mold. And utilities can be quite expensive in Calgary. And if you're curious about this, I have a video specifically on the cost of living in Calgary, which you can find by clicking this link right here. And point number 10, and I didn't really realize this until recently, is that in Calgary, almost every single family home has a basement. There are parts of Canada where basements aren't that common, but in Calgary, pretty much every single family detached home has a basement. And they're not just like dugouts or storage areas, these are full-on living spaces. Some have suited basements with like a kitchen, living areas, bedrooms, bathrooms. Some have fitness areas. And we also have a lot of walkout basements here, as many parts of Calgary are quite hilly. And a walkout basement is essentially where you can walk out of the basement into your backyard. And they can be quite expensive. So basements are definitely very popular in Calgary, and they can be quite nice. And point number 11 is radon gas. So in Calgary and the surrounding area, we're known to have higher concentrations of this gas. It's a naturally occurring radioactive gas that can help seep into basements from the ground. And there are mitigation measures like sealing cracks and proper ventilation that help mitigate the effects of radon gas. Point number 12 is air conditioning. You might find it a bit odd, but air conditioning isn't all that common in Calgary. I would say of all the properties that I've sold, maybe 20% have air conditioning. It's not a must like it is in other parts of Canada, like in Winnipeg and out east in Toronto and Quebec, where it's very hot and muggy. Calgary is very dry, and it gets cool at night here, even in the summertime, because of our high elevation. So it's good to have, obviously, but it's not a must like in other parts of the country. The next point is taxation. You'll find it a bit interesting that in Alberta, we're very anti-tax type of people, I would say. There's no land transfer tax in Alberta. There's no provincial sales tax. And I would also say that property taxes are fairly moderate compared to other parts of the country. And the next point here is urban sprawl. Not unique to Calgary, but a newcomer might be amazed at how big Calgary is in land area. It covers a massive area, and it's not that densely populated yet. If you look at Vancouver compared to Calgary, there's about 1,600 people per square kilometer in Calgary, but in Vancouver that number is 5,400. So it kind of has a bit of a small town vibe to it, Calgary, and it just covers a huge area and it's not that densely populated yet. And the last point here is how well laid out Calgary is and how much of a master plan city Calgary truly is. And this is very noticeable when you go to places like the United States. You'll find like a cement factory next to a home, next to an office building. It seems like their zoning laws in the USA are just like a free-for-all. In Calgary, that's not the case. It's very well laid out. We've got like the corporate high-rises right downtown. We've got an industrial area over here. This area is designed for residential. This area is designed for a strip mall. And we don't really deviate too much from that plan. Everything is kind of where it should be. It's just a very well thought out city. And we also have architectural controls and restrictive covenants that are registered on titles of our residential properties. And this helps control like the design, the theme, and the layout of these neighborhoods. And it just kind of keeps everything kind of looking kind of the same. Now, I'm not sure if I like this because it can be a bit of a boring city sometimes where everything looks the same to me. Like I try to get excited when buyers are buying a property, but everything is identical. It's like this is a 2-story home with 1,800 square feet, 3 bedrooms upstairs, 2.5 bathrooms, and a front attached garage. And it's the same layout as every other home in the neighborhood, and they all have a similar look to them. So it makes everything look kind of similar in Calgary, and that can be good or bad though, but it's just a very well thought out and well laid out city. All right, we're finished. Now, if there are some things that you've noticed that I've missed, please let me know in the comments. If you are thinking of buying, selling, or relocating to the Calgary area, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. I'd love to be your realtor and help you out. And also check out this video about moving to Calgary. I'll see you in the next video.